Hey everyone, welcome to Shop Dog Fabrication. So today I get to do something really cool. Bestarc reached out to me, a company that produces plasma cutters they sell on Amazon, and asked me to evaluate this plasma cutter. Now I currently have their Gen 3 that I purchased personally, and I've been using it for about a year and a half and had zero problems with it. They now have a Generation 7. They sent it to me, asked me to evaluate it. So I tell you what, let's jump right into this thing. Let me tear this box open, lay out here what we've got, and then we'll show some of the features of it, and then we'll cut some stuff and see what we can destroy. So anyway, hang tight. Let me, open the box up, lay all the stuff out, and we'll see what we got here. You can see it's well packaged. All right, here's probably some consumables, our torch head, ground clamp, and all that in the box. And here we go. Here's the little unit right here. And I can tell you guys, this is smaller than my Gen 3. So this is a nice, compact, and very lightweight little unit. They've got a film over top of the display. The other thing I just noticed is look at this nice long cord. You get a nice, long cord. Instead of some of them, you get maybe 1.5 feet. Here you get a good 4-foot long cord, looks like. Set up for 220 initially. And inside the box here, we've got some consumables, some tape, for threads. Here's some airline. You've got your ground clamp. Here's your adapter to run 110 or 220. Now, I always like to run 220, guys, if you can. Takes load off the machine. That's just my personal thing. Versus 110, the machine's struggling to cut thicker material. So I always like to run it on 220 no matter what I'm cutting. Just takes load off the machine. That's just kind of a personal thing. And here's our, cutting torch and the instructions. So let's go ahead and quickly hook everything up. Now, honestly, you shouldn't need the threaded tape or you shouldn't need this hose because you'll be using your air hose, right, with a quick connect fitting on the back of it. So we'll hook up our air hose in just a minute and power to this thing. So we'll set this aside for right now. So the first thing we'll do is we'll connect our ground clamp, and let me find my box cutter. Cut the zip tie off. There we go. Basically, this just kind of plugs in and give it a little twist, and you're all set. So that's done. Now what's wild is this is, in your package here, there's a little wrench, so you can change out your tips on your plasma cutter here. So don't lose your little wrench. We'll just set this aside. There's only a couple connections, pretty basic and pretty straightforward. Also, what's nice, guys, is this has a protection sleeve over your cables, and it's also got a nice rotational head on it. So that works pretty nice deal, and you can see it also comes, this is a pilot arc machine, so you don't have to touch the surface to light it off, so to speak. And what's nice is they provide like a guide, for spacing to the material you're cutting, so you can drag it across the surface and cut instead of trying to, keep it a certain distance by hand. So that's a nice feature as well that comes with this. So let's go ahead and make these connections real fast. Again, it's pretty straightforward. Let me pull the camera up and we'll make these other connections. And then we'll I'll power it up and we'll talk about some of the adjustments on this. All right, so we'll unscrew this. Make this connection real quick here. Oops, flip the cap around. What's cool is if you look at these wires, right, they're not very thick or big. With these inverter machines, it's pretty amazing what you can do nowadays. So we just plug that in, screw that in like so. let's remove this cap. Probably should have done this ahead of time. Looks like they've got a nice cap covering, there we go. A nice rubber cap on there to keep debris from getting in, from shipping and all that. So we'll just screw this on here. All right. And that's pretty much it. So we've got our ground clamp all set up, right? We've got our power and ground here set up, and this is basically our air feed to the torch head. So let me go ahead and provide power to this. We'll turn it on, and then we'll kind of look at a couple of these features that are pretty cool. All right. One thing that I just did is I didn't have the air hose hooked up, and it would give you an error message, and I'll put in the error message. So if you don't have air pressure, you'll get an error message. So a couple things about this. You can see there's a couple different screens here. This one's currently set up for cut. 4T, which is automatic. So if we switch here, you can see air, cut. We'll just leave it at cut. So guys, when you're doing your air, right now it's set on cut. You can switch this to air, and you hear the air pressure escaping, and you'll see the PSI that it's showing. You can come down here and adjust your air pressure and see as it changes. So we're going to go ahead and crank it up because we'll be cutting some thicker metal. And just crank it up there. Put it back to cut, so hopefully you can hear me better. So I'm just going to go ahead and crank up this, to high air because I've got some, I think around 3/8 thick metal we can cut all the way from. We're going to cut some 18 gauge all the way up to 3/8. I've got an old drum here we're going to cut and a piece of aluminum. So the air pressure, is based on what kind of thickness you're going to run, but we're going to crank it up. There is a 2T setting, which is you basically off trigger, and 4T is going to be automatic, like I'd mentioned. And here, PT is post-time cooling adjustment. So, in other words, how much airflow there is after you finish cutting. So they recommend 4 to 8 seconds that you set your post-time to, so you can adjust your post-time adjustment. You can see right there the number of seconds now. It's changing to how many, so we'll set it for 8 seconds post-time run. And then PA is your pilot arc. So in other words, the shorter amount of time, you get longer life from your consumables. If you run at a longer length of time, basically that would be good for like cutting, I believe, screen, stuff like that. And then the thickness of the metal, they say 110 is close to 1/2 inch, and then 220 is just like 0.6, which is a little over 1/2 inch, somewhere between 1/2 and 3/4. So it's about the thickness that this can handle as a 50 amp machine. So with that said, guys, we have air, we have power, we've got it all connected in just a matter of minutes. Let me grab some scrap metal I've got sitting down here, and we'll clamp it on the station here, and we'll give it a rip and start cutting some stuff. Okay, so I've got my ground clamp attached to the workbench here. Get my gloves on. Get my safeties. Yes, these are for like grinding and stuff, so I'm going to wear these. Take my glasses off. And we should be able to just grip it and rip it. Have a little fun here. This is starting off with some 18 gauge. Now I screwed up, guys. I went too fast and skipped over a spot, but you can see this cuts this lickety split. This is basically off one of the car I'm working on. There, quick little hole in the middle. Do a little zigzag. You know, this thing, guys, cuts really nice. And you can see the higher pressure. It actually cuts really nice and clean as well. Now, got a piece of 11 gauge here. We'll grab this, whoops. Let's grab this, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is 11 gauge, about 1/8 of an inch thick. We'll just give this a quick little rip. We'll slow the speed down a little bit. There you guys go. Cut it nice and easy. Just a little bit of slag on the backside for a little bit of grinding. Cut that real simple. So I've got a piece of 1/4 inch here. Let's go ahead and cut this. Again, we'll go a little slower for the 1/4 inch. There you go, guys. I went a little too fast, but it cut right through it, no problem. Here, we'll do it again. I'll slow down a little bit. Right, just like butter. So now let's get this. I believe this is over about 3/8 of an inch thick steel here. So we'll slow this one down a little bit more as well. Give it a whirl. There you go, guys. 3/8 of an inch, cut right through it, no problem. Now, the other thing we're going to do, I got a scrap piece of aluminum. So this is about 1/8 inch thick aluminum. There you go, guys. Look at that. Cut a design in that, no problem. Just scooping around real fast. So 1/8 inch aluminum, not a problem. Now, I don't know if it'll cut through this drum, but we're going to try it. Why not? They asked me to demo it. I'm going to demo it. We're going to try to see what it can do. Now, this is an old cast iron drum. We'll see if it'll cut through the surface of it. There you go. Now I went too quick. But you can see it cut through the cast of this drum, which is, I don't know, a little over 1/8 of an inch thick, you know, in this part of it. So, you know, it's got paint on it, a little bit of rust on the inside, you know, the ground clamp connected it. We were still able to cut through it. It's not a big deal. So guys, this little unit is pretty cool. Like I said, you can do auto, which is what I had actually set up for. You know, if I were to do it off trigger, let's do it off trigger now. So now it's off trigger, so it's off of me. I just left it on auto mode. So now it'll work on me demanding it to do something. All right. So there we go. So that was in, semi-auto mode. In other words, me triggering it versus auto mode where it was doing its thing. So you can see, guys, this is a pretty slick little unit. You're looking for a nice little unit that has a lot of adjustability, that's small, portable, compact. You can see, right, I whipped through 3/8 of an inch material pretty darn quick. I've been using my Gen 3 for a year and a half, zero problems with it whatsoever. It's got a built-in regulator in it. All you have to do is hook up your hose to it. Just make sure you have a compressor big enough to be able to handle everything. I left my compressor off and it wasn't full of air either. So it may have been one of the reasons why a couple of my cuts were a little short. But man, this thing is slick. To be able to have auto mode, if you're, let's say, have a machine that can do all the programming and everything, you can put this in auto mode versus having to, leave the trigger on by semi-auto mode by you operating it. You can check, adjust your post flow as well as the amount of time that you're running your pilot arc as well, for the type of material you're going to be cutting. So overall, guys, I give this nice little Gen 7 a big thumbs up. Like I said, I've been a fan of their product because I've been using it now for a little while. And, I'm going to definitely put this unit to use as well. I'm redoing a 67 GTO. You'll be seeing me cut the floor pans out of that thing. I've got to do some roof repairs to it and different things. So we'll definitely be using these units as part of my future projects, current projects, and all that. So thank you guys for taking the time to watch. I will have links in the description for this little unit, as well as the consumables, as well as some of these type glasses to protect your eyes. And I'll have the links of their Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff that they've got. So thank you guys for taking the time to watch. Hope to see you guys on a future upload. And again, I very much appreciate Bestarc for letting me test this little unit out. It's a pretty nice little deal. Thank you. Have a great day in your shop.